Okay, today we're going to learn how to make the Aurora Borealis with some chalk. So you're going to have a basket of chalk that's at your table. You will have your black paper, and then you will also want to get a paper towel because you'll probably want to wash off some of the chalk because sometimes when they're next to each other, they get nasty colors all over them, and so we want to wash it off before we actually use it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start with like a green color, and we're going to use that first on my artwork. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a green. I think I'm going to start with like a darker green. So I'm just going to kind of rub it on my paper towel first to make sure it's clean on that side of it that I want it. And I'm going to move that chalk over for a second. I'm going to go ahead and make some marks that will go up because the Aurora Borealis were these cool lights that would go through the sky. Actually, they still happen today when you're in places that are way north, closer to the North Pole. Okay, so there's some green on that side. I might add a little bit of green over here to this side. Now, I'm sometimes pushing hard. If I push hard, it makes it really dark. If I push lightly, it does it a little more lightly. And there are some parts where I might want it really dark, and there are some parts where I might want it to just be a light color. Now, I was thinking it might be cool if I picked like a lighter green to go on top of it, but this one is very dirty, so I'm gonna kind of wipe that off, try and get some of that other chalk colors off of it because I don't want those colors on. I just want the light green. And I can kind of tell now, when I first started, it was really dark with other colors, and now it's starting to be just the color I want it to be, and that's what I want. Okay, so now I'm gonna make some marks that go through with this lighter green, so it kind of looks like it's kind of lighting up a little bit. So adding some maybe that go up a little higher. I'm really filling this part in a lot because in a little bit I'm gonna use my fingers to kind of shade this. All right, so I'm going to add some to this, a little bit of lightness to it. Okay, maybe some more in here. So sometimes I can rub back and forth, push kind of hard. Sometimes I can make it a little bit lighter. Okay, now in the top part, I'm going to make it, sometimes it can be like a pink or purple. So once again, I'm going to get my pink. I'm going to wipe it off. This one's not too bad already. It's been kind of cleaned off, so I'm going to use that side of it. And I'm going to add some right here in the center part. I'm going to add a little bit of pink. Might even want to add a little bit lighter part to this in just a second. But I'm still leaving some black, you notice, because I still want to know that it's a night sky. And so I'm still leaving a little bit of that. Now I'm going to see if I can find, let me look through here. I want to try and find one. Ooh, I wonder if this is white. It's kind of hard to tell at the moment. Nope, that one is actually gray. Okay, so that's all right. Sometimes you have to peek around and check. I'm going to grab one of these that's a lighter kind of orangey color because I want some light part to this, but I don't really have a light pink. So I'm going to add a little bit of this to maybe just this side of it, just so it'll look a little bit more bright. And then at the very top, I'm going to find some purple. Let me dig through here. Ooh, this one might be good. All right, so once again, my paper towel's getting pretty messy, so I'm just going to fold it over and use a different side of it. Ooh, that's going to be gorgeous. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit of that just so I can blend it in. Looking so pretty. Okay, and if some of it goes off your paper, that's fine. You just want to make sure you leave at least a little bit of black. Now my fingers have gotten kind of dirty, so I'm going to wipe them on here on a cleaner part to kind of get that off because I want them to be pretty much as clean as I can. Now I like to use my middle finger because your middle finger is the finger that's the lightest, like it doesn't have as much pressure. So I'm just going to use my fingers for a second, and I'm going to blend a little bit of this together. So you can see some of it is stretching all the way to the top. And for right now, I'm just going to do it on the green and the light green. Do you see how we're kind of blending that together? Now, my finger is nice and green now. And I'm going to go over to this other side where I also had that. I'm going to turn my paper for a second so I can get to it a little bit better. It's okay if you make it come all the way down here. Ooh, I love how that kind of blends into the sky. All right, so that's looking pretty, but definitely don't want to do that other purplish color. So I might pick a different finger. I can always go wash my hands, but sometimes if you wash your hands, you just keep needing to go over and wash them over and over and over again. So I'm just going to pick a different finger each time so that I can just wash my hands one time. All right. Wow, this is looking nice. Makes me want to see it in real life. All right, so that is how we're going to make the Aurora Borealis part of your landscape. Next, I'll show you how we're going to do the stamping. Okay, today we are going to make the trees that we need at the foreground of our landscape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some of them kind of look like pine trees or trees. You can kind of think of them as like what you see for Christmas trees. So I'm going to draw them first. I'm going to make this little upside down V. And then from there, I kind of leave a space here. And then I go out a little bit. I leave a space here and I go out a little bit. And I leave a space here and I go out. And I go out. And I can keep doing that. But I'm just going to do it a little bit. And then watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to put that line back in here, just that little line, and that will help me know where those branches kind of lead out. I'm going to do another one over here, and I can make them overlap, and I don't want them all to be the same height, so I'm going to make this one a little bit shorter. So I'm going out again, maybe out again, one more. Okay, so now I'm going to put those little lines back in there so it'll look kind of pointy. Okay, and then I'm gonna try and do one more over here that's maybe kind of medium sized. Upside down V, leave that space, go down a little bit. I kind of make them flare out a little bit, actually quite a good bit, I guess. And then I'll just make this one go all the way over. So I'm gonna add in those little lines there. Okay, and now, oh gosh, sorry, didn't see that end one. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to cut this out. Okay, so what I like to do so that I can still make those pointy is I'm gonna come from the side here and I'm gonna make my cut. And this is pretty thin cardboard, so it'll be pretty easy to cut. And then I come in from this side, so that I cut that piece right out of there. And sometimes you just have to kind of give it a little tug and it will come out. Then I'm going to go to the next one. And then here we go again. Okay. And I'll just keep doing this until I'm done with the whole thing. So I just like to come from the outside in because it helps make those edges more pointy. See, that one popped right out. Just cutting off the parts. Okay, so you can see that I have these all cut out now. I have these extra scraps that I'm just going to move out of the way. And I've got my nice cut out tree part that I'm going to use for the foreground of my landscape. Okay, we are getting ready to print. I have made some paint for you that is a little bit of a charcoal color, so I've added a little bit of white to black so that it will show up a little bit better. You're going to take your brush like this, wipe it on the side if you get too much, and you're basically just going to cover all of this. If it gets a little bit on the table, no big deal, because you're going to try and do it somewhat quickly. You're trying to add paint to this because you're going to stamp this onto the foreground. That means the beginning part or the part in front of your landscape. So I'm just gonna move this around, and you'll probably get your fingers painted on a little bit because there's Kind of no other way to pick this up, okay? So you're gonna get it really painted wet, and then I'm gonna show you the next part. While it's really wet, you are going to flip it over like this. Try and line it up with the edge of your painting. And you're going to very carefully press down on all the little parts, trying to make sure paint doesn't squish out the edges too much. You might get a little bit on your fingers. You might not, but that's okay. And we're gonna put it on like that, just very carefully. I would rub it a tiny bit, but try not to rub it on the edges or you might smear your paint. You wanna just rub it a little bit like that, and then you're gonna take the corner and you're gonna peel it off. If you see an edge that's not good, maybe go rub it back down. Ooh, that's looking pretty good. Okay, we're gonna do that one more time. Okay, you have painted again on your little template or your printing plate. So you're gonna get ready to pick that up and flip it over so you can put it onto your Aurora Borealis. So this time you already have some on there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of overlap it a little bit. Some of this will not get on my paper, like some of my printing won't go on it, and that's okay. I'm gonna very carefully push down those corners so that I don't get too much on me, but I get it to press down evenly, and then press, 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 rub, 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 very carefully, making sure all these edges are going on here well. Part of my problem is that there's a little bit of a not flat part of this underneath my paper, and so it's making it be a little silly. So, all right, I'm gonna peel this off now. I'm gonna get that little corner there, peel it off. Ooh, I feel like those trees were a little bit better than the ones before. All right, so there is the beginning of my, or the foreground of my very cool Aurora Borealis